a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week, we're watching the listener-requested Ladies of London, The New Reign on Bravo and Peacock.
So stay tuned to find out which cast member Mitu would like to hang out with.
BJ, hold on to your hat.
I can hold on.
Until then, why don't you also let us know what happens in this British Blue Blood program?
Sure. A new wave of British blue bloods, ambitious American expats, and glamorous international socialites light up London's elite social scene. As tradition collides with the fast-paced, globalized world, these power players redefine what it means to belong to high society in one of the most iconic cities in the world. Here, connections are currency, and the crown isn't the only thing up for grabs.
Okay, you are not a Real Housewives person.
Correct.
How did you feel about this one?
It reminds me of what I know of the Real Housewives, so I get why this is a Bravo Peacock production.
Okay.
But it did feel fresh because, we have the international setting, a new cast of people, some Americans thrown in, but it's still a reality show of friends drinking and partying.
True. I just was curious how these kinds of shows settle with you. For me, as someone who really enjoys Real Housewives, I was raised by many of them, specifically in Atlanta and New York. Now I ascribe to Rhode Island, Salt Lake City, Beverly Hills, and Potomac.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of time with my girls, especially when not all of them deserve my time.
Oh, but
some
you still
have
commit
had
to
some
them.
boring seasons.
Mm.
In this instance, I thought that it was very smart for them to not try to brand this as like a Real Houses of London. They're telling us it's its own thing, but there's still a great foundation. To me, it was a slightly slow first episode, but it kind of has to be because you're introducing like 10 people. But there were really great like seeds of conflicts to come between Dara and Micah, between Martha and maybe Margot, like them as both ally, because that, if you've watched any of these shows, your closest friend can soon become your closest enemy on this show, or your biggest enemy, because now they know too much and they can use that against you. So I liked the seeds of like Mark Francis being this gossip person, kind of narrating the whole thing. And then I loved the strata. There are some people who are rich and aristocratic. There are some people who are socialites, but not necessarily rich. There are people who would truly give anything to have a little bit more social currency, even if they have all the actual currency. And so I think all of those things are going to be fun, too, to watch interplay.
Right. I think they do have a great group of friends. And like you said, it was slow because it felt like we were watching a lot of these people meet, even though there are some individuals who have decades of friendship already, which I think is important.
Some people have decades of friendship. Some people met at a dinner party a long time ago, and the other person is claiming a much closer friendship. And I think that there are really just a couple people who both sides claim each other as friends.
Yes, it seems like Martha and Margot are the only ones who are like, we have a true history together.
Yes.
We had the odd Micah, Dara, two very different takes on their relationship, which seems to have been a very long time.
It kind of reminded me of you.
Wow, I'm a little offended, but please explain more.
Because people love you so much. So there are people that probably think y'all are best friends because they love you so much. You are this kind of personality people really enjoy, but you're also such a, I can't remember the term, like cat, where you're like not as effusive, and you would never be this effusive about others like other people are about you. So I was like,
interesting.
Dara, BJ might be seeing himself a little bit in this, but it sounds like you weren't feeling honest when watching it. Like when the mirror was held up, you closed your eyes.
My eyes were open. I just did not see myself.
Okay.
I don't relate to Dara. If a friend group was spreading rumors about me at a summer garden party, I would be offended. And I would be happy to hear that my best friend since college is defending my reputation.
But were they best friends in college? Who do you believe? It obviously, I guess the truth lies somewhere in the middle, where
I
Micah's
believe
playing it
Micah.
up and then Dara is maybe being a little cool, like I'm too cool for this kind of personality.
I believe Dara is being too cool for school. And I believe Micah is such a genuine, nice person, as
Yeah.
Mark described her, that from her perspective, she is being honest.
Yes, like even if that's maybe not the reality that other people would interpret, she absolutely sees Dara as someone who's close to her. And if you went to college with someone 20 years ago and now y'all work on floors above each other, you are closer than Dara wants to admit. Like, y'all would
Yes.
not rent one floor from each other. I know that there is more than one building in London.
Yes, they are doing a lot of things and have a lot of history that suggests at least a closer friendship than Dara is willing to admit in this episode.
Yes.
I also want to go back to Missy, who is trying to, let's say with good intentions, get involved in all this drama.
With good intentions.
She wants people to know what's being said.
You know what? What I will give her is I don't think she's being like sneaky. I think
No.
she is genuinely Swedish and aloof, where she is like, I don't understand all the language y'all are using. I'm not following this slang. But somebody called somebody cringe, and I know that word.
And I should tell that person that they've been called cringe, right?
I also thought it was funny that Dara was like, Micah's work doing etiquette consultancy is just a hustle and that she does not really know anything about etiquette. Because it's such a specifically professional dig of like, this little business you started, the core of it, you're not even good at that. That's so mean.
It's so mean because Dara seems to be all about working, hustling, being in business. So then to kind of tear down Micah, it makes you question that friendship.
Some might say Dara is very enterprising.
Climb your way to the top.
In every sense. Now, stepping away from working for a living, we have Martha and Emma, who, that felt harsh. I think that they do work in their own ways, but are
Yes.
somewhat professionally like socialites,
They have titles.
which is fancy.
And Martha, we did hear, grew up rich, was poor, rich again, and seems to be a little less than rich right now, but aims to be rich again. While Emma is just rich.
Yeah, she found the right husband, the right lifestyle. Congratulations to her and that home. I hope that this show is effective in bringing people to come on a vacation at your properties. This property was exciting to me. I don't know that I would go there and pay for it, but certainly excited for people to do that. This worked. Everything looked beautiful.
Speaking of Emma, I have a reality TV, maybe even Housewives related question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about a cast member not even interacting with the cast in the pilot episode?
I think if you're interesting enough, you get away with it. So for Emma, if she continues showing us like significant opulence in the way that the others cannot, like Martha has such fun stories and is a socialite, but like she has a landlord. So it just doesn't work. Like when you're renting, when you're in a townhouse, I say that as someone who literally lives in a townhouse.
You own your home. You don't have a landlord.
That's true. The bank. But in Emma's case, we get to see opulence. So I think if you're really kooky or very opulent, I think you can interact less with the cast because you and or your surroundings are enough to look at. If you go back for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, There was a solid season and a half where Mary just was literally not interacting with the cast, but it was still fascinating every time we got to look into her home.
I think you told me a bit about that.
Yeah.
She like called people from her closet.
Yes, it was worth discussing. Like, it was genuinely fascinating.
Okay, and I'm sure Emma will be in the same room as people in the next episode.
Eventually, perhaps.
Hopefully. What did you think of Lottie? We haven't talked about her much.
That's someone who kind of straddles the line, I think, in an interesting way, where she works for a living. Her husband is a tailor to the stars. And I think that because of the fact that they work with so many stars, she has access to so many fancy people and so many fancy stories. So I think she is going to be an interesting, almost like mediator between these worlds of people who work for a living and people who are wealthy just by being.
Period. They're just wealthy.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that she might be a nice go-between to help different sides relate. Because I'm sure if you've grown up never needing to work, it might be hard to understand a hustler who's like, I created my own business and I'm thriving on working 24/7.
Yeah, let's have empathy for people who were born wealthy. Like, life might be hard. It might be difficult for them to understand things. And it's important for you to be patient with them.
They need to learn.
Yeah, like, let's kind of open our hearts to that.
It's a different lifestyle. Like, I don't know if we understand the challenges that they face.
I will never be able to walk a mile in their shoes unless Emma and her husband are looking for a third person to enter their marriage. And if so, I will walk in those shoes bravely just to make sure that I can understand.
That is so generous of you
Of
to
course.
be willing to give yourself to them and to offer to take that role on.
I take empathy really seriously. So if I have to be wealthy to understand how wealthy people think and perceive the world, I will do what I can to make sure I can empathize with that experience.
Selflessness in its truest form.
Thank you. I also want to talk about Margot as a person on her own, in addition to the friendship with Martha. Margot's claim to fame being the like most sexual movie in London in the last however many years.
9 songs.
It was so interesting too that like clearly she is very successful, or we wouldn't be looking at that very lovely home she was thinking of renting for whatever like film project she was doing.
Do we know what her partner does?
Oh, true. Okay. Because I was like, is she just a star over there? Because there are people who are just much bigger in the UK. There's a lot of like American artists that are like that, where maybe they don't chart as high here or their movies don't do as well here or whatever it is. But abroad, for whatever reason, they are well received. Like, people get it.
Yeah, it's unclear because she still talks about her acting career. The only reason I'm questioning her personal wealth outside of her marriage is if someone talks about an accomplishment from 20 years ago and doesn't mention many new accomplishments, you start to question, well, what have you been doing? And acting is tough. I recognize not many people have the privilege of a steady acting career.
True. I mean, it's more and more a story now that like being able to be a working actor is just hard. You're either wealthy or you're struggling, but there's not a middle class anymore in that industry, or there is a dwindling middle class. I couldn't tell if they kept mentioning that movie from literally 2004 or something like that, because that was like the thing that first popped for her, or if that was the thing that only popped. And yet you see how in the time between watching and recording with you, I didn't just go on like IMDb to confirm, despite being in front of a computer, having a computer in my pocket in the shape of my phone. But
was
it's
she
fine.
interesting enough to do that?
That's the thing. I was so entertained that like, I feel like when something is kind of boring or super compelling, you're Googling what's going on to be like, is that a true fact? Like, where have I seen this person? Whereas I was just locked in because this show also surprised me with how silly it was. This American versus Brit dynamic, Martha's
Mm-hmm.
face blindness,
Oh,
the
yeah.
rumor about Dara's job. It was just so silly. I found myself genuinely laughing for most of this first episode.
And I like that they are willing to have fun. You know, we've seen reality shows where people are going to garden parties or dinner parties,
Yeah,
but this one truly seemed like they just happened to be recording these people in their real lives, which is, I guess, how reality TV started, but we don't see as much of that nowadays. I also think there's a bit of like British humor at play because I think the silliness and is different than the seriousness we might expect in America.
fair. Yeah. Well, with that, do you want to watch more episodes of Ladies of London, The New Reign on Bravo and Peacock?
I am so happy that you have this show in your life to
Okay.
add to the repertoire of Real Housewives. I
Hmm.
know you watch Bravo, you watch Peacock, and I know you're busy. You have a
Yeah.
lot going on, but I'm confident that you can fit this into your schedule and learn more about Margot's career, learn more about Emma's estate, learn more about Micah and Dara and the future of their friendship. And that really makes me happy. I empathize with you for
Okay.
being able to go through such a meaningful viewing experience. How do you feel?
Thank you. Well, I guess I feel how you feel. But to add
Yeah,
to
I'm
that,
feeling your feelings.
but to add to that briefly, the number of people who recommended this show, and yet I kept ignoring it, like that video of Adele sitting courtside where she just would not look at the camera. Like that's what I was doing with the Ladies of London recommendations that I've been receiving personally because I thought that I would be bored by this. Ladies of London sounds so stuffy that I thought it was going to be like the first couple episodes of Real Houses of Potomac when it was initially like a Jack and Jill show. So it was just all about etiquette and who's the most proper in the room. And that's what matters rather than like the fun drama of just like the messiness of relationships. And so this show shut me up. I absolutely should not have ignored all of those calls to watch this show. This is my humble apology on that. If you are Real Housewives Hive, if you're a Bravo, Peacock, like silly reality show Hive, this is a very fun one. This to me, I will watch again casually. I think it's going to be my new, like, while I'm working, I'm going to watch this show.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted it to be for you.
Okay. What was your question?
Which cast member would you hang out with?
Okay, who I would be sisters with is Emma, so I could access that money. But who I would
Yeah.
hang out with, like a good time, I
Hmm.
know Martha's full of stories. And whether they're true or not, that would be
Oh,
so fun. Like, wouldn't you love to sit next to her at a brunch? Like, meaning table next door and just overhear her whole conversation with someone?
that would be interesting. My first thought was she would talk to you, tell you these amazing stories, and then you would go hang out with her again while wearing a hat, and she
Yeah.
would just completely ignore you.
And then I get to hear the same stories, maybe a different take on them, maybe fresh stories. No matter what, it'll be a good time. But if I were to pick one to like bond with for life, again, or marry, should you allow that like a third into your relationship?
Uh-huh.
Then Emma.
Well, if you want to learn about more cast members that Me Too might hang out with, or just our opinions on shows, head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations because every other week, just like this one, we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.